Hi, how are you? Welcome again to the Frugal Gourmet. I want to continue our conversation about entertaining. You remember we've talked before and we've said that when you entertain, you really should relax and enjoy the thing yourself. After all, the party's for you. If there's someone neater that you know, why fine, entertain them, but I think you should see yourself as the neatest person you know. And that means that when you set things out, everything should be ready so that when the party starts, you can become a member of your own creation, instead of a viewer, which is what happens to us, particularly if you're Swedish or Norwegian. You know, my mother used to always run to the kitchen with all of her girlfriends when the party was just getting started, and they'd spend all of their time out there cooking and cleaning up. I guess that's a Scandinavian way, but I don't want you to do that. One of the ways you can avoid doing that is to celebrate the cassoulet, or the casserole, the old casserole. By classic definition, the casserole... No, we'd better start over because you think that I think we're talking about egg noodles with tuna fish, canned tuna fish, and I may get sick. Canned tuna fish and cream of mushroom soup with broken potato chips in the top. Do you remember that? That's not a casserole, dear. That's bad food. The term casserole simply refers to anything cooked in a pot. Who made the pots? I think, from my studies of history, the first cooking pots were probably baskets. Now, this is a terrible one because you can see the holes in it. But in the early days, a basket was woven so finely that you could put water into the basket and then throw in hot rocks. Now, when I say early days, we're talking about a long time back. We're talking about just something just south of the caveman. But we know that we learned to weave baskets before we learned to make clay pottery. So the first casserole, that is to say, anything cooked in a pot, was probably a basket, and we threw food in the basket, a little bit of water, and then put in hot rocks, and it sat and simmered for a time. You know, it still works. American Indians, there's some classic dishes, and they can make a basket so finely woven that nothing will leak out. It's a beautiful thing to see. I don't have one. This is from the florist shop. We can chuck it. Earlier casseroles would involve something such as this one from China. It's very old style, though you can still buy these. And the casserole is designed in such a way that this will sit on a charcoal fire, and the wires that hold it together don't really hold it together at all. They simply dissipate heat. And then the Chinese came up with a steamer casserole. And inside you can see that it's kind of like a donut-shaped affair, or an angel food pan. And from this tube in the center comes the steam. And you put this over a pot. Well, I have one cooking here. I'll show it to you. This is a contemporary one. Kira, K-A-I-R, Kira puts this out. It's really very beautiful. It's a large one. Nothing new. She simply redesigned the old casserole, but you see there's a tube in the center. It's like an angel food pan in heat. Got that? All right. And I have a casserole cooking in here. It doesn't matter what you put in it. The term casserole simply defines the fact that it's in a pan. You can buy them in metal. This is heavy heavy cast iron from France. You can buy them in weird shapes in porcelain, or this is a cheaper ceramic, a brown ceramic, a nice oval porcelain casserole. Or finally, you can get a very flamboyant pélion, which is this is a beautiful thing. It's very heavy. It looks like something you put on top of the stove, but of course you can't do that. These all go in the oven. With the exception of the Chinese casserole, that could take the top of the stove. All right, let's start cooking then on some casseroles that would be suitable for a buffet, something you can prepare ahead of time. The first one I want to make for you, and if you're a younger person and you start mumbling about my eggplant, you're in trouble because it's delicious. I want you to taste it first. We're going to do a lamb, Italian sausage, and eggplant casserole that I blatantly stole from Place Pigalle at the public market in Seattle. First of all, let's get a big casserole here. And this one is certainly large enough, isn't it? That's a biggie for sure. Find some room now. The only problem with showing you all these things, I have to keep moving stuff around. But then my kitchen is just like yours, and I'm always running out of room. All right, now we're set. So we'll put our casserole over here and begin with the order of construction for the lamb, sausage, and What's the other thing? I want to have the eggplant casserole. First of all, I want 2 pounds of lamb that I have already browned. Now, this is good leg of lamb, and I've browned it severely so that you seal in the juices. Don't do this lightly. Do it severely. What does severe brown mean? Well, you throw it in a very hot pot and brown it nicely. All right. So into my casserole goes the 2 pounds of lamb, already browned. Always brown things. Otherwise, you just wind up with a lousy stew, and I don't want you to do that. I now need 3/4 of a pound. I was going to say 3/4, 3/4. What's the difference? Obviously, we have more than 3/4 of a pound in here of Italian sausage. Good sausages with a lot of fennel in them. Now, you'll notice the center is not cooked. You see, that's all right. All I want to do is to brown these nicely, and these will go in the casserole now, too. All right? And then we need to add 2 yellow onions that I've sautéed with some garlic. Pan fry these first. You remember how to do that. Sauté means that it jumps around in the pan. You don't just let it lay there and die, for heaven's sake. You jump the pan. The pan is hot so that it doesn't just lay there and soak up fat and die on you. You don't want that. All right? That's about 3 fat onions and a few cloves of garlic to taste, at least 3. More if you wish. And that goes into our casserole as well. This is really going to pile up today. I'm going to have fun with you. And then we want to add a whole eggplant. And of all the creatures that God has made in the vegetable world, I think this one is the most beautiful. Aubergine. The color itself, I think it's a very sexy color. I think I tell you that because Patty, my wife, has a dress that is aubergine. Auberge. What am I saying that wrong? Auberge? No, I think that's right. Anyhow, the dress certainly is right. She's just gorgeous in it. She loves that color. So do I. All right, I've cut off the top of the eggplant, and then I'm going to slice the eggplant into big, wide slices. Put them back together again on the top here, you see? And then you can cube them very quickly, thusly. See? Watch your fingers, for heaven's sake. Turn it, and it's all cubed. None of this doing one slice at a time. Frugal means you don't have time for that fiddling around. Now we're going to pan fry all of these cubes. And let me show you what we'll arrive with here. It's very simple, if I can find it. Here we are. We've pan fried these in a bit of olive oil, sautéed them, you see, quickly browned, so that they're ready to go into the casserole now too. Don't have the heat down too low or they won't brown. They'll simply lay there and absorb oil. There's an old joke about in the Middle East about a man who, because the eggplant absorbs oil and oil and oil, it will keep absorbing olive oil for a long, long time. And the old joke is that this man was so wealthy that he didn't care how much olive oil his wife put in the eggplant. Now, in the Middle East, that's very funny, and I appreciate you're not laughing at all. What's the matter? Do you understand the line? Put in just a little bit of oil in your pan. Use a Silverstone pan, preferably. So otherwise, you'll get too much grease in the eggplant. It'll just keep sucking up the oil. All right, saute the entire cubed eggplant, and that will go into our casserole. The plot thickens, doesn't it? This is really just delicious. It's going to be terribly rich. You wouldn't think of a vegetable being as rich as eggplant actually is, but it's just my favorite, and I think it's the most the richest vegetable you can imagine. Then I want to add 3 ripe tomatoes, very ripe. Very ripe. Don't buy those cheap supermarket ones that aren't ripe. If you do, I've told you before, set them on a windowsill or something so that they'll have a chance to ripen before you go much farther. And we want about a half cup of parsley. You just throw this all into the casserole. And we want to add 2 whole bay leaves. Here they are. Wow, that's a stinky little thing. Where'd you come? That's a stinky one too. All right, 4 little bay leaves if they're little stinky things. I have a bay leaf and a tree in my front yard in Tacoma. And it grows all the year round. I'm putting in 4 little ones, or 2 big ones. In any case, we have a tree that grows all the year round. It's the most beautiful thing, and I just love it. It's a wonderful thing to have. You can grow one in most parts of the country. You want a bay laurel, but if it's severely cold, as it is in Chicago or upstate New York or Vermont, you'll have trouble growing those. But in the temperate sun belts, such as Seattle and Tacoma, we have no trouble. And you thought it rained all the time. You see? Now, salt and pepper. All right, there's enough. And you don't want to add much salt to this. You really won't need it because the flavors are very bright. And now we want 2 cups of red wine. Just pour it right in there. That was 18 glurgs. 18 glurgs or 2 cups. Got it? I counted the glurgs. It's much easier than counting the cups. I'm teasing you. All right, that will go on the burner until I heat up, bring it to a light simmer. And I have one in the oven I want you to see. You put it in the oven then for about 2 hours at 350, so that the lamb is very, very tender. The eggplant just kind of gets married to the lamb, and the tomato just gets lost in the shuffle. And then you'll have a lovely, soft, tender, let me show you. And it'll stay hot on your line. You see, you use a metal one or a good thick one, a good thick casserole, and you'll have a wonderful dish. I have one in the oven here somewhere. Here it is. Oven somewhere. I know where the oven is. I need to put out a space for it. The front of my kitchen always winds up being a buffet anyhow, doesn't it? You know that that's what happens here after we finish each day anyway. We all eat together. And that's one of the ways that we heal anything that may have happened here in my place during the course of the day. If you've had an argument, feed him. If you've had a good time, feed him. The result is always the same. If you're happy or unhappy, feed him. With some other person. Feed the person and you'll feel better. And that's what it's for. All right, here's the casserole. Ouch. Heavy. Oof. Good Lord. All right, let's get the lid off of that and take a look at it. It's very beautiful. There. The eggplant and the sausages have cooked down and simmered. The lamb is very, very tender. It's just colossal. Oh, look how tender that is. The odor. I know you're frustrated, but I can't help it. I have no way of shipping this one to your house. When I meet you across the country, when we're signing books or in bookstores or something, inevitably you come by and you say you become so frustrated that you can't smell. But I haven't figured out a solution. That one, however, is colossal. That's really good. All right, let's go on to another one. Second one I want to make for you is a very brief version of the cassoulet. Now, the cassoulet is a classic dish from France that is made in a casserole, but it's called a cassoulet because it must contain duck and sausages and so on, but it takes a long time to make, and beans. Generally, a casserole has some kind of filler in it, either a vegetable filler or a bean filler, or if you remember the old days, a macaroni filler. Ugh. I don't like those half as much as this next one. So let's prepare what one is that one going into? Yes, here it is. Here we go. We're going to put this one into a big Pélion. It's beautiful white porcelain. Let me set the lid down and we'll begin to cook here. I have one whole duck. Well, actually, I have a duck and a bunch of spare ribs here. I've cut up the duck. You see, just cut up all the pieces of the duck. I've saved the wings and the neck and some of the skin for soup stock that I've made. And so I've roasted the duck at about 375 for half an hour, along with some spare ribs. And you see I've cut them up into small chunks. These are pork spare ribs. You cut them up into pieces. And these are all ready now for the pot. So we'll just throw them in. All right. Now then, they'll go into our bowl right away. You've browned them in the oven first. You can pan fry these if you like, but it takes much longer. And, of course, you retain much more fat. Beneath this griddle, or this grid work, what do you call it? The grid here, is a great deal of fat that is drained off of the meat. And we just don't need it. Whoops, I don't want to lose that. Oh, it would kill us all if we had that much fat in the kitchen here. We don't want that. All right, now the second step is to take a pound of white beans. I have 2 pounds here. A pound of white beans, and this is the size I'm talking about. These are little navy beans. You see how small they are? You see? They're not the big fat one. This would be much more typical of French cooking. And we'll soak those overnight in ample water, and then in a kettle, prepare with the beans. These have been soaked for a time, you see. Prepare with the beans a couple of yellow onions, and we're going to stick the yellow onions. Where are my yellow onions? I have to peel one for you, I think. I don't even have one out here. Well, those are the breaks. Here's one. Here's one. We'll peel a yellow onion and put 2 cloves in it. That's a classic old trick, old French trick, for taking the gamey flavor out of foods. Did you know that? Did you notice how I did this? Cut the bottom end of the onion off first, the root end, and you're much less likely to cry. Dion Lucas taught me that. A long time ago, through a book. Never did even meet the old girl. She was wonderful. She was the one who started all of us cooking and television. Did you know that? She was the first one in New York City, long before any of us were doing this sort of thing. Dion Lucas. So some night, have a glass of wine when you're enjoying a good dish that you learned from some television cook and toast Dion Lucas. Bless her heart. All right, 1 whole onion, and into that I'm going to place a couple of cloves. and just stick them right in the side of the onion. And that will go in the pot of beans, which you've soaked overnight. There's one clove. We'll put in another one. We don't need the skin. All right, that will go into our beans. And in addition to that, we'll need, let's see, we'll need some carrots. We'll put in about 4 carrots into our pot. And some garlic, and then we're going to cover that with broth. Just barely bring it to a cover, you see. I have one all ready for you. And let that simmer for about an hour so that the beans are just barely tender. We don't want them mushy. You don't want mushy. You can't make a good cassoulet with mushy beans. Yuck. It won't work at all. So here's our product ready to go in the casserole. We have the beans. Let me just get my hands in here and show you what's here. The beans and the carrot. There's garlic in here and a good broth that we've made from the wings and the neck. And finally, here's the old onion, you see, with the 2 cloves. This flavored the pot well. Now we'll tuck that into the casserole, which in this case is a brief cassoulet, along with the sauce and the broth, the whole works. There we are. And then we're going to prepare. Now we'll get ready to put this in the oven. I'm not going to do this on top of the stove. I want to put it in the oven. And I have a cup of puree that I've stirred into some more onions. I know, you're going to say, my Lord, is he putting in more and more onions? We're going to put in more onions. The puree, tomato puree, boy, it's about as far as I can get it. Trying to get away from, yeah, got it. Would be stirred into our onions. I have 3 onions here that I've sauteed with more garlic. Can you believe this? There's garlic all over the place. And we would saute the onions and the garlic, and then at the last, add the beautiful tomato puree. And that goes into our casserole. Our cassoulet casserole. How's that for confusion, huh? Oh, you can toss that about a bit if you'd like. And finally, we're going to put in a Polish sausage. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have room to get all of this stuff in here, but we'll come very close. There we are. 1 Polish sausage. It's about a pound, huh? About a pound, right into the pot. Okay. Ugh, there, just push him down in. And we'll seal the top up. What if this thing explodes? What are we going to do? Beans all over the place. Well, I can think of worse deaths, can't you? We'll seal the top up with wax paper. This will cook down. Don't worry about it. This will cook down. And put a heavy lid on it. And it goes in a 350-degree oven, for a couple of hours. And everything will be ready because you've pre-cooked the pork. You've pre-cooked the duck. The sausage you don't have to worry about. Those are the 3 meats. The beans have been simmered until they're barely tender with a bit of broth, 4 carrots, a little bit of garlic, and the onions stuck with 2 cloves. All right? Then you saute 3 or 4 more onions, along with some more garlic, a little tomato puree, and that is the final layer that goes over our casserole, which is a cassoulet, which is yummy. I'll show you one. If I can get it out of the oven. This one may have exploded. We'll see what happens. This weighs a ton. Oh, or something very close to that. But it will feed a lot of people. And the beans are not actually just a stretcher. The beans have a marvelous flavor in and of themselves. So it's all right to feed beans. Don't think of casseroles as cheap things any more than you should think of pasta as cheap things. That's not the point. The point is that it's easy for you to prepare for a lot of people. Oh, boy. Ouch. Whoops, I forgot something here. Let me get a hot pad so that we don't burn up everything. Now I'm ready. All right. We've got to have a crane installed in my kitchen. This stuff is really heavy, but it's wonderful. You ready? There. Now get rid of the wax paper. Well, try and get rid of the wax paper. There it goes. Look at the duck sticking his little head out of the... I shouldn't talk like that. If you're a little child, don't worry about the duck. He's enjoying himself. It's a wonderful place to be. You should have such a happy existence, huh? That's it for the duck, sausage, Polish sausage, and the pork casserole. That would be served, I suppose, with a nice green salad. You're not going to need much more, and a nice glass of wine. You've got a winner every time. Thirdly, let me show you one more here. This one is from the Philippines, and it's called adobo. A-D-O-B-O. Adobo. Very quickly prepared. It's just delicious. What pot does that one go in? Let me see. Oh, I remember. It's the oval one. Well, it's great. I don't have one on the set. I'll prepare one in this bowl because it's supposed to go in this one. I can't find mine, so it doesn't matter. Let me show you how to put one together because I have all the parts here. And I have one cooking on the stove right now. Adobo. It is a strange mixture because we're going to use chicken and pork together. And most Americans go, that shouldn't blend and match, but it will. You watch. All right, we're going to have one chicken, which we've cut up and pan-fried. You see him? The pieces are cut up, and not into bite-sized pieces, but what I would call serving pieces. You see? There we are. Okay, he goes into the casserole. I know this looks like a bowl. Pretend it's a casserole, for heaven's sakes. All right, secondly, we're going to add some, about 2 pounds of pork, which has been pre-browned in a pan. That's a little more. I think it's a little more than 2 pounds. We'll just put in 2 pounds worth. That's enough. 2 pounds of pork. I'm using pork shoulder or pork butt or pork loin. Pork butt is the fattest of the three. And this is obviously pork butt. It isn't pork shoulder at all. You see how fat it is? You may want to cut down on that by buying a more expensive piece of pork. It depends on who's coming to the party, I suppose. All right. Now, we're going to add 1 entire cup of red wine vinegar. Not red wine, but red wine vinegar. You got that? It's to be vinegary in flavor eventually. Okay, so we'll get a cup of red wine vinegar in on this. And then we're going to add ½ a cup of soy sauce. Oh, I know that it sounds strange to be putting vinegar in meats, but it turns out beautifully. And ½ a cup of soy. And then we're going to add a couple of bay leaves, good old bay again. Interesting blend of flavors, isn't it? Oh, these are the same little stinky bay leaves. Let's use 4. You use a couple of large ones or a couple of little ones. 4 little ones, please. And some pepper. And some salt. And we've got it. Where is my salt? Here it is. And you will cover this now with well, you won't cover it. Just add to it a cup of stock. A cup of chicken stock. That's about a cup of stock right there. And then we will put that in the pan and simmer it for about an hour or so. And at the end of the hour, when the flavors begin to blend and the vinegar mellows out, did you get the recipe? I have chicken and pork. I've pan-fried both of these first. And then I've added to the pan a cup of red wine, a little bit of soy. You can see it blending already down here. And then we've added a couple of bay leaves and some pepper and salt, a cup of chicken stock. So this will have enough moisture to simmer for a bit. We're going to put it in a casserole, put it right on the top of the stove, and after an hour of gentle simmering, let me show you what we'll get here. Let's see what's ready. I hope this one's ready. Wooden spatula. Do you know how hard it is to work with someone who says, I'm going to take the lid off the pot, and then he walks away to the, you know? But we have a lot of fun here anyhow. You ready? There it is. This is just beautiful. See how tender everything is? Oh, it's gorgeous. Now, there's one last ingredient, and you'll probably have trouble finding coconut milk. But I want you to find it if you can. Otherwise, here's the way you make your own. You put a cup, we need a cup of coconut milk for this dish now to finish it. So here's the way you make your own. You put a cup of milk into your food blender. Don't try this in a food processor. It'll just go all over the walls of the place. And whir it with 3/4 of a cup of coconut. And there we are. That's all it takes. I know if you're Filipino, you're going to say, no, that really won't work, but it's as close as we can come in a community where you can't get coconut milk. So at the last of just before your guests are ready to sit down, then you add the coconut milk, and you want to add a cup to this dish. That's a little bit more because, of course, the coconut takes up space too. And we'll stir this in. Oh, this is it's just too much. I'm not sure which I'll start. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm sure. I'll start in on the eggplant, Italian sausage casserole with the lamb, because I really am a lamb fan from way back, and it's so rich and it's so mellow. Now, if you tell me that you don't like lamb because lamb tastes gamey, calm down until you've tried it cooked this way. In our culture, we generally roast lamb until it's just unbelievably strong and old, but this one is mellow and sweet and delicious. It has that mutton flavor, you see, that you don't want. It doesn't appear in a dish like this. It'll be wonderful for you. Let's put that on our buffet. No, I don't want you to serve all 3 of these. I want you to realize that the idea behind the casserole is that dishes can be prepared ahead of time and served very conveniently. And you don't have to do much more than, after the work is done, of course, do much more than simply bring them out and set them on the buffet and smile at your guests and then sit down and reap your just rewards. What are those rewards? Well, it seems to me that if you've thought carefully about your guests and if you've prepared a buffet of beautiful casseroles and then, of course, throw out a nice salad and some nice bread and perhaps a bit of wine, you've pretty much prepared a whole meal. It's very exciting, and it's a great compliment to your guests. And in the end, the compliment that comes to you is well worth the effort. None of these dishes are terribly expensive, but they're all involved in terms of time. But if you'll take the time, the reward that comes back will be a kiss at the end of the evening, or a chuckle, or the wise inclination that you will have when you climb into bed to think about what people are saying when they go home from your party. You know how you talk. Well, they talk too. And as they go home from your party, they'll turn to one another and they'll say, Harold, I had no idea that he was that fond of us. That was a wonderful evening. That's the point of entertaining. We don't want to just stuff each other with cheap hors d'oeuvres. We want to celebrate the fact that we really need each other and that we're dependent upon one another. Without your friendship, I'm not a whole person. That's what the table's for. And that's why you should make a good casserole. Forget about the tuna and forget about the noodles and cook some things that will really help your guests have a good time. So my 3 suggestions for today are not simple, but they're not complex either. This one being the lamb and sausage and eggplant casserole. My sons go crazy over this. And then, of course, the duck and sausage cassoulet, and finally the Philippine pork and chicken adobo. And there it is, so that we can have a grand time celebrating the table with the Frugal Gourmet. Until I see you again, I bid you peace. Bye-bye.